These two boxes of Rallyman are jam-packed with possibilities, and it's my intention to highlight all of the interesting things you can do with them. This is Shakedown. In today's Shakedown, we're outrunning our opponents as fast as we can in a head-to-head pursuit race. Previously we saw that illegal street racing against ghost cars can be quite difficult, and here we are in the streets of London proving that we've not learned our lesson and are about to be arrested by the police. Briefly, because they're just a nuisance in video games, aren't they? There is a mode in Test Drive 6 where you can try to catch street racers yourself, and I'm sure you can take inspiration from this to recreate the thrills of a high-speed chase in Rallyman. But I want to do something different and not introduce something new or made up on the spot for once. Today we're going to have a pursuit race. No gimmicks, no additional rule tweaks, just two cars starting on opposite sides of a track, racing to their finish line. First one to cross the line they started on wins, unless they both finish on the same turn, in which case the car with the most focus tokens remaining will be declared the winner. As I expect this to be a quick race, we're going to have a best of 3, switching start lines between each race to see how that changes things, if at all. This style of racing isn't too common, but it can be found in the Race of Champions, with the pursuit format being used most recently in 2019 and around this track in the Olympic Stadium in London in 2015. We're going to keep using JCB's ghost cars, although once again they are limited in that they don't earn any focus, meaning that any ties for who finishes first will be broken in our favour, assuming we've earned and kept at least one focus token by the time we cross our finish line. Against cars that only slow down if they roll poorly or end on corner spaces, it's going to be a challenge. As we're both in GT5 cars today, anytime the ghost car rolls a 6, they will move 6 spaces as usual, but will then end in 5th gear. Hopefully that won't happen too often. It's time to find out. Welcome to the Olympic Stadium pursuit circuit. We have randomly chosen turn order using the ghost dice. So the ghost car is going to go first, and it's going to maintain its lane, which for these two corners is the outside, but for everything else on the track it is the inside lane. So we are going to have to do quite well to try and get the win against it. Let's see what it starts off with. It's going to move 5 spaces and end in 1st gear. It's only going to get better from there, I'm sure of it. We want to get through the gears as soon as we can and end in 5th. This would be a very risky flat out roll, and if it goes wrong we would probably end our turn in gear 00 and miss a turn, and therefore hand the victory to the ghost car. So let's hope that doesn't happen. It doesn't. Flawless set of dice. We have made it around the first corner, and we are in 5th gear at the end of that turn. Next round then, we are going first as we have the higher gear, and we would like to end here in 5th if we can, which is going to need a boost up to 4, a second. We need to break down to gear 3. And then I think we can coast through the middle. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to go flat out on those, especially when I roll a hazard on a coast die. I'm going to risk the boost up to 4. That is a hazard on the 4, but we can pay for the last die with 1 focus. And that will secure a 5th gear finish on the second round. As we see what the ghost car can do. It is going to roll a 2, 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces of movement to end in 2nd gear. It is slow progress for the ghost car so far. What can we do on round 3? We are going to break down to 2nd gear. And we're going to play it a little safer as we just come up to 4th gear for the next corner, seeing as that is going to be a dip into 1st gear. We don't want to brake too heavily and risk losing this lead. Let's see what this braking is. Just the 1 hazard, nothing on the coast. That's good so far. The 3 is a hazard, so I will pay for the 4. The ghost car is going to hope to roll better. It rolls 6 spaces of movement. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to end in 6th gear. But of course, it's a GT5, so it is going to end in 5th gear, taking turn order for the next round. So let's go straight into it. It is going to roll a 3 for 3 spaces of movement. Not what it wanted to see. It hasn't yet crossed the halfway mark, whereas we have. So I think we do have this race. Let's find out how we navigate this little technical section as we brake down heavily to 1st gear, coast through, come out in 2nd, and I think boost up to 4th, something like that. We will do that one by one and not get any hazards on the brake or the coast. Gear 1 serving us well, so is gear 2. Boost up to 4 was just the 1 hazard, and we emerge in 4th gear. Next round then, we get to go again. We are going to brake down to 2nd, keep things safe. We're going to come out in 1st, coast for a little bit, boost up to 3rd gear, obey the speed limits as we dip to the inside in 4th, and come out in 5th so that we can see the back of the ghost car, assuming we can get there. The 2 is good, the 1 is our first hazard, and the boost up to 3 is good as well. The 4 is good, and the 5 is good. Just the 1st gear that was the problem. As the ghost car tries to cross the halfway point, gets 6 spaces of movement. We just have to try to cross the finish line, and if we make it, we have won. So let's coast in 5th. Let's brake down to, in fact, we don't even need to brake. We can go 5, 4, 3 and play it very safe by rolling one by one. Hazard on a coast die, and that is across the line with another hazard on the gear 3. That is a victory. There is no way for the ghost car to get round the track with just 1 turn of movement, so we take the 1st round. Next round then, we are going 1st, and it's a bit tricky on this side of the course with that immediate gear 1 hairpin. The best we can do is get up to 3rd like that, but it does look like a good flat out roll. So let's hope for the best. We get 1 hazard on gear 3, not enough to lose control as we end in 3rd gear with 4 focus to play with. The ghost car is going to have a straight run. It's going to end 6 spaces down the track in 6th gear, which does of course turn to 5th gear. As we go into the next round, it's got turn order to go again. So it's going to pull ahead with 8 spaces of movement. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to end in what it wants is gear 4, but it's on a corner, so it's going to end in 2nd gear. So hopefully we can end in a strong gear ourselves. We have to brake down to 1st gear to obey the speed limits. So we will do that before emerging out the other side and coming up to 5th gear on the inside there. Hopefully we can get as far down this run of dice as we can. Hazard on the coast says it might be a problem. Hazard on the 3 says it might be a problem. I'm going to pay for the next 2 dice. So it does only leave me with 1 focus. We're going to hope to keep hold of that as the race goes on. We are in gear 5, so we are going 1st on the next round. Let's see if we can earn some focus. We can't quite coast like that. We would need to do, let's think, into 4th, 3rd, coast, and then a boost up to 5th gear, I think is relatively safe. That's famous last words if ever I've heard them. Just the 1 hazard, however, So we did manage to get all the way into 5th gear. As we approach the halfway mark for our lap, so too does the ghost car. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ends in 1st gear. So it does cross its first line before we do. So we do have to make up some distance on the next turn. We do get to go first, as we are going to break down to 2nd, drop into 1st, boost up to 3rd, and then get through the corner like that. We have to hope for the best here. We're going to go one by one for obvious reasons. Hopefully this brake is good. 1 hazard on one of the brake die. The 1 is good. Boosting up to 3 is a 2nd hazard. So we're going to pay for those next 2 dice to secure a 5th gear finish. We have to keep doing that as often as we can, because this ghost car is just going to run away with it otherwise. Another 8 spaces of movement, ends in 4th gear. It's going to be a tense finish as we go into the next round. What can we do from 5th gear? We are going to, I want to try and end in 5th over here. That's going to need a 4 and a boost. And we need to get down to 2 at some point. We're going to brake to 3rd, and then we're going to have to brake to 1st in order to close the distance. So I've got to hope for the best here. I don't have a lot of focus to pay for dice. There's nothing on the dice so far. It's been a good roll. Very good roll. Could have gone flat out. Absolutely could have gone flat out. Just the 1 hazard on gear 5 as we make it around that tight corner. Hopefully we've done enough. Let's find out. If the ghost car rolls another 8, it's probably game over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 was its best. It does, of course, not end in 6, but end in 5th. So I have to cross the line on this turn, which I can do just by doing something like that. And I have to keep at least 1 focus back. So what have we got? A flawless brake, flawless coast, across the line with a hazard in 3rd gear. Can the yellow car cross the line on this turn? I'll give you a clue. Yes, it can. It is going to move 7 spaces. That would easily take it over the line to end in 5th. That means both cars finished on the same turn, but as our tiebreaker is the most focus between them, we're always going to beat the ghost cars. But it was certainly a closer race this time out, and as you can imagine, it would only take 1 mistake or loss of control to effectively give the win to your opponent. Pursuit races were introduced in the Team Challenge expansion for Rallyman GT, where you can have as many as 12 GT6s around a circuit like this, which you can run in a number of ways depending on your player count. But as I know you're a creative bunch, I'm looking forward to seeing how you can make use of this race format differently. Here's an idea to get you started. If you know who the best player at the table is, have them start the race a few turns behind, be that behind another start line like this, or if you don't have the tiles, same start line as everyone else but a few rounds back, and have them chase down their opponents, perhaps scoring points for each overtake or maybe even eliminating a player from the race. Do you race a set number of laps and see how well you did, or is it a last car driving race where it keeps going and going until all but 1 player has been overtaken? At the end of the day, it's your game. Make sure to have fun with it.